Hey there party people, just out in the old garage. It's getting a bit cold, to be fair, the reason for the hat that's on the head. But yeah, the work is done and it's time to go and sit in front of the fire and contemplate things that are going on. But before we do that, I just want to have a quick look at do a bit of a brief overview of my small wheel attachment, how I made it and things like that. Just have a quick look. You just saw me using it in the video, and if you watch any of my other videos you probably see me doing it, making knives. So this is it, goes on the 2x72 that I made, and we'll talk a bit about that in another video. But yeah, here it is, a small wheel attachment. So yeah, let's get into that and have a good look, sort of what I do and what works for me and how I jig it up and put it together. I'm not going to put one together, but you'll get the essence anyway, and you might be able to try it yourself. So without further jibber jabber from me, let's bring the camera a little bit closer and have a bit of a brief overlook or a deep dive, whatever you want to call it, into this here small wheel attachment for 2x72 belt grinder. So we're looking at it from the front of the machine. Pretty simple construction, to be fair, overall. What we've got is, I've got a couple of pieces of flat bar here, which I've just shaped up and made to work, to fit, and I've got a flat bar spacer in here. I've made that a bit thinner in the other models, but yeah, this is a prototype, so I just put together whatever I had and made it work, and it works pretty good. On the top here, I've got a 2-inch contact wheel just to guide it, bring it down a bit closer, so because the wheels are a bit smaller. And we'll look at that in a bit more detail in a second. And so naturally this is a unit by itself which bolts onto a tooling arm here. So that's 40x40 and that's 50x50 by 5, so that fits in like you've probably seen a lot of other 2x72s. So that's what works. This here, of course, naturally you put your small wheel in there and the belt runs over it. This 2-inch contact wheel, as you can see, normally I wouldn't use an aluminium wheel on here like this. Well, it'll be aluminium, but it'd be backed with rubber, be a rubber backed one. But at the time I made this, I couldn't afford one, so this is what I used, one of my old wheels which didn't work so well. And it works good for this. You can note that it's worn out, because whatever you put on here is going to be consumable because the sanding belt runs over it, so in time it's going to wear it. That groove in there has really no effect on the operation of this one. Still works good. I will replace that in time. You might note that I mentioned, if you watch my video on the tracking mechanism, that anything I put, nuts that I put on this side of the machine tend to loosen, so I usually put a locking nut on there as well. This one I didn't, and that's why that's occurred, but that's all good. So on top's a 2-inch. I did, and we'll have a look at that actually right now, I did have allowance for a 2-inch contact wheel on the bottom, but I've found on this machine here I don't need it. So we'll just look at that right now. So if you can see this in the dark and dinginess, you've got your sanding belt running down through here under the contact wheel, and the main reason for that is to just bring this down, because the smaller wheels naturally you want to be able to get in here. I'll move a finger up here. You want to be able to get in here to get your tight curves when you're shaping stuff. Yeah, so that's good. I did make allowance underneath here to put another contact wheel on, but what I found is I don't really need it. On this machine, just the way it's all lined up and set up, is I don't need to bring that up. I can still get in there to get my tight curves when I'm shaping stuff. So I've taken that off, and on the new models that I make I don't bother putting it on because it's just not necessary. So yeah, that's the crux of that. So let's move over to the bench and we'll have a look at the parts. So I've got a couple of units here made up. Start with this tooling arm, as you can see. Just your 40x40, like I said, cut on a 45 to give access to that end one there. And it's 400 long, 400 millimeters. Not sure what that'll be in inches, but that's what works for my machine. So just a standard tooling arm. This here being the unit which I just took off the machine. You can see here how I've allowed for the 2 contact wheels, which I don't actually use. I only use the one now, that's all I need. So in the next models I've refined it down a bit, and I've just taken that bottom piece off. You could use it if you wanted to, but you don't really need to. And that's all there is to that. Just move that over there. So you'll note also too, I've only got at the moment the one small wheel. The other machine I have, I've gone from 12mm, I think was 1/2 inch, up to, what's this one here? This is 22, or yeah, it is 22mm. So most of the knives I make are just designed around this at the minute. I will make some other ones up. You can go up to, the last one I had a 35mm wheel on it. 35mm being nearly 1.5 inches, if you can see that on the ruler. So yeah, that's the wheel I've got at the moment. So how big's the wheel? I tend to make these wheels, I think that is the 60. Gives enough room for the 50mm to move if I ever need to go back and forwards on it, which I don't. And I've got some bearings pressed onto the ends. These 10mm inside and, let me think, yeah, there's 17 outside. Getting a little bit small. On the smaller wheels you need to run them quite slowly on your VFD if you've got variable speed, because they will heat up a bit. You can't really avoid that, but this one I've never had a problem with. It runs really well. So that's the small wheel. On here, what I've done, if you can see in there, is I've drilled out, I've just cut the flat bar stock. Cut the flat bar stock like that. I've drilled a 17mm hole and slotted it like that. That fits in lovely, no worries at all, fits in there. And to stop the sideways movement, I've taken some 3mm washers or heavy duty washers and tacked them on the end, tacked them on the sides to stop the sideways movement, and that works perfectly good. And again, simple construction, I've just spaced it with the flat bar on the inside. The thickness of the flat bar on the outside, 10mm on there, so that's no worries at all. What I've also done is made up a little jig, nice and simple really. It's just a couple of bits of angle iron on a flat plate, and when I make these that'll naturally clamp over there flat like that. Oh, stop. Over there like that, and I'll G-clamp them to here, and I've made up a little wheel for my jig. So I just put it in there like that to get the distances, and tack it up, keep it on there nice and smooth. What you do need to do is you just need to line up so this here is square, and that's the main thing you need to have important, so all your wheels are running square and level with each other. So that's what you need to do. I'll move that back over there. So there's really, like I said, there's not really a lot to it. It's quite a simple construction. So that just goes onto there, and I'll run 2 bolts on it. The front one interfered a bit with the spacer, so I've just drilled, because it's 10mm, I've drilled through here, and what I'll do is bolt right through, bolt right through there, come on, get on. Bolt right through there with that one there, and put this on the front. It's never come loose, I've never had a problem with it. Those are 10mm fasteners. There we go. It'll go in. That there being in good enough, then that's how I hold it together. That's good. So what you need to note is that going this way, if I can get it in the camera, this way, needs to be level with the machine and the other wheels, and this way here needs to be square with the machine, and then you won't have a problem. Up and down ways like that, you don't have to really worry about it because it can accommodate a little bit of variation there. And that's about the crux of that. That's as simple as that really. That's all there is to the small wheel attachment. So yeah, like I said or didn't say, it's really quite a simple construction, this small wheel attachment. Not much to it, to be fair. So if you're new to knife making or grinders or whatever, give it a go. It's not really a lot can go wrong. That just fits in there on your tooling arm and Bob's your uncle, or not, and that goes on there. Your wheel goes in naturally. Like I said, the main important parts, it's got to be right that way, which it should be when you lock that tooling arm in, as long as these flat bars are square and everything else when you make them. Get that right and you can't have a problem there. This way, up and down, doesn't really matter. It wouldn't really matter if they were sticking up or sticking down because it can accommodate it with the belts, and you need to have the square all your wheels in line in the middle and everything else. So really that's, yeah, not a big deal. Like I said also, my contact wheel on the top there is worn out, and it's really not affecting it one way or the other. I will improve that in the future. I'll remake that wheel. Your belts go on. Ooh. And there you go. We're good to go with that one there. Quite often I will run it like that in the vertical position, but more often than not it's in the horizontal. That's how I run it. So what I've also had to do is make up a tooling arm or a work rest for it. Just fits in there with a groove and a V in it. And yeah, that's about it. Simple construction, easy to make. So yeah, like I say, if you're new to this sort of game, have a go at it. It's not that hard to do. The only thing I did do, or did have to do, is get the wheels machined. So I get them made to the size that I want, which is really not a major cost. I also didn't mention that wheel I've made out of stainless steel. I don't know if that's the right material to use, but I've used a bit of 304, I think, round bar, and got that machined up. It's just what I had at the time. I haven't had a problem with it. You could probably use different materials, but stainless steel works for me, so I haven't had a problem with that at all. So yeah, there you go. So that was a bit of a quick, brief overview. So we'll do a bit of an outro and put this one to bed, yeah. So yeah, there's not really a lot to say about a small wheel attachment. That was it in a nutshell, really. I've put together this little video for you and I hope you enjoyed it. Might be a bit disjointed, but yeah, like I say, that's a small wheel attachment and it works really great. You might note too that I've changed my hat. It's getting a bit serious in the cold department. There's a bit of snow in the mountains. And yeah, time to go and sit in front of the fire. So I hope you've really enjoyed that. If I missed something out or you want to know something else, just let me know in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Have a look at my other videos if you're interested in it. I've done one, yeah, I'll go over the whole grinder in time, my build and how I make things work for me, and they work really good. So try and outline some of the pitfalls and things that I got wrong, so you might learn from that. So apart from that, I hope this night's finding you in good health and everybody's fine. So yeah, really enjoy your day and thanks for watching.